What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Sit Down. It's Tuesday. You know what day that is. It's the legendary day. It's the ritual. We're back.
It's a ritual. We're back.
We're back. You know who it is over here. I don't think he needs any introduction at this point. And before we start, let me just shout out my brother. You recognized his sweatshirt. I think you gave this to me. I don't think you stole this from me. I stole this from you like you think I did. I'm pretty sure you gave this to me, but either way, we're going to incorporate something new this week where we're going to kind of tie in our picks from the week prior of week 11. And then we'll kind of guide that in terms of why it happened that way. Recommended by my brother, so shout out to you, Trevor. Thank you again. That was really good criticism and critique there. So we're gonna get rolling here. Okay.
If you guys want to see anything else, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, please let us know if there's any kind of critiques you have or anything you'd like to see. Please let us know because we're growing and we're changing and we're trying to make this the best thing that you guys can watch. So please let us know.
Other than football opinions, keep those two.
Right.
All right, let's jump in.
So let's. You want to just start at Patriots Texans since I have it right at the top?
Yeah, sure. Patriots Texans.
So we both picked the Patriots.
Yeah.
And we picked wrong.
Yeah, it didn't go the way we thought it would.
Yeah, Texans won 27-20.
And I think we picked the Patriots initially, and I think you and I can both agree on this. Is like the Texans just looked like a shallow team. They didn't look like they were able to. They have good talent in a lot of areas, but they're not able to execute very well. Yeah. Bill Belichick is the type of coach who's going to exploit that pretty heavily.
Definitely.
But the Patriots offense just could not get rolling.
I'll tell you what, neither offense nor defense. Defense couldn't buy a stop. They couldn't stop a breeze on Sunday. It was rough. It was tough to watch. And this is why I'm high on Deshaun Watson because he played his butt off.
He will put the Texans in every game.
Yep.
Regardless if they win.
He lit it up. He went for, let's see here. He went for a ton of touchdowns. He had a bunch of rushing yards that game too.
Yeah.
He went 28 for 37, 344 yards in the air and 2 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. And he ran for 36 yards and a touchdown on the ground.
Yeah.
So he's averaging 6 yards a rush too.
Yeah.
And that wasn't, I don't think that was by design. I think that was more so just trying to get out of the pocket and make things happen.
And if these two teams played each other more frequently, like it's hypothetically if they played 2 times, it would be very likely that it would flip the other way.
True.
These are 2 very inconsistent teams who came together and one team just had a better day than the other.
Yeah, and I think with the Patriots, this might be a bold take, this might not be, but I think the Patriots are pretty much dead this season. I don't think they really have anything left to prove or anything. I don't think they're making it to the playoffs this year. I think this was a big game for them, and they didn't show up. And the one thing I do like about the Patriots though is they're giving that rushing attack the carries and the effort that it needs to have. Because that's the thing. Something's wrong with Cam Newton's arm. Even though he threw for 365 yards and a touchdown, there were some of those throws. It was just like straight into the ground.
Yeah, 50 of those yards were on one pass.
Yeah.
It was a gorgeous pass. But,
yeah.
I think they need to lean into that running game a little more. Damian Harris is a young guy who seems to thrive with the more carries he gets.
Yeah, there wasn't enough carries. He only had 11 attempts.
Right, and I think he needs to get more of those.
And if you look at it, James White averaged 3.8 yards to carry. Damian Harris averaged 3.9, but they only had 24 attempts.
Right.
And I think a lot of that was because they were playing from behind. When you play from behind, it's hard to establish a rush game.
Yep.
And I think that was exactly what you saw. But I think the key of this game was the Patriots defense couldn't stop anything.
Right, and I like to think of it this way. Defense sets up the run and the run sets up the pass.
Yep.
And if your defense isn't working, pretty much your entire game plan is not going to work.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. We'll go to, you want to do Broncos?
Yeah, let's go to Dolphins, Broncos.
Shocked.
This was a tale, and we both picked the Dolphins on this one.
Yep, and we're both wrong again.
And the reason is obvious. The Dolphins are one of the hottest teams in football. Were one of the hottest teams in football.
Mm-hmm. I think they still are.
They were cruising really well. But in this one, the Broncos had a great defensive scheme that rattled his rookie brain.
Yep. What did you think about him getting benched?
I think that's a wrong call.
You want to know what? I'll give...
Part of me, it depends on why you did it. If you're going to say, well, we want to keep him healthy, we know he has injury issues, and we knew we weren't going to win this game, fine. Fair, good enough, that's fine. But if it's just because he's not doing well, you need to let him figure it out. If he's going to be the starter for your franchise, you need to let him figure it out and not bench him if he's tested.
Right, I'm torn, right? Because I think part of it, like you had said, Andrew, is true. If this was to his first moment to actually define himself and to come back from behind and win a game. It's easy to be good when you're front running. Mm-hmm. And this is the first time he actually had some resistance and they pulled him out of the game. Yeah. I don't like that.
No.
But I do like that Brian Flores is trying to win football games.
Sure.
Because what his reason was, he said, we felt that Ryan Fitzpatrick was going to give us the best opportunity to win the football game. I respect and appreciate that. But, at the same time, you also have to think, right? Are we winning football games right now, or are we going to let the future, maybe a little bit of a learning curve, takes his lumps, takes his bruises, and try to go into the future?
It's a short-minded thing to do.
It was.
Because this is not, you don't want to throw out and I guess,
You don't want to damage his confidence.
Right, Monday morning quarterback, coach, if Ryan Fitzpatrick did come back and win the game and threw that touchdown pass at the end of the game to tie it, then we'd be saying, oh, well, Ryan Fitzpatrick did a good job. It was a good call by the coach. All right, they're still going to start 2-0 next week. They got the dub. Move on.
Right.
But now this is a team that's 6-4 after you just benched your starter, who could have been 7-3. It is a strange look. Broncos defense played really well.
Yeah.
They played probably one of the best games they've played all year. Vic Fangio is a good defensive mind.
Agreed.
He knows how to mess with rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He has a very good record against rookie quarterbacks. I believe it was before coming in today, 17-6.
That's
Good
good job.
record.
Yep.
Yeah, and he knew what to do. He knew how to rattle and he knew how to throw them.
Yep, and I think that was the thing, right? The Dolphins' offense just couldn't get going. They couldn't move the ball. They couldn't really do too much. And I think Drew Lock, to his credit, actually played a football game for once.
Yep.
He didn't have characteristic turnover like he normally has. He had one bad interception again, but it was better than 4 last week.
Right.
And he didn't put his receivers in harm's way of getting absolutely destroyed. He wasn't thrown over the middle into triple coverage. He was actually making some good throws. He went 18 for 30 for 270 yards in an interception.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad to say that's actually a good day for him, because that's really not a good day.
It's not. He's still probably one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the league right now.
And I'll make a bold take before we move on. I wouldn't be surprised if Drew Lock is on the chopping block this offseason.
Oh, absolutely.
I think he might get traded or he might get benched.
If he doesn't turn it around towards the tail end of this season and really start to pick it up, put up some 2 or 3 touchdown games with no picks, and win some football games, because technically we're still in the playoff hunt.
Sure.
Then you be surprised if the Broncos don't take a rookie quarterback early.
I don't think we have a choice.
Like a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance, if they end up being that high. I don't know if they'll be that high, because those guys are going to go early.
Right.
We'll see what happens. I'm not high on them.
Yeah.
Dolphins will bounce back. I'm sure it was just a rough game.
Yep.
Learning experience for Tua. It'll be fine.
And it's tough to play Mile High. Even with fans or no fans, that's still a tough place to play.
It is a hard place to play.
Let's go Cardinals Seahawks. Thursday night football. Both of us picked wrong again.
The Cardinals.
Both of us picked the Cardinals. The score was 28 Seahawks, 21 Cardinals.
And I think the reason we picked the Cardinals is because we thought the Cardinals could put up more than 21 points against the Seahawks defense.
And I don't think we expected the Seahawks defense to actually be a defense.
Right. They showed
that
up.
front four that actually was able to apply pressure.
Right.
You look at the play that ended the game. A game-ending sack. That's really big.
Kyler walked out of the game questionable for the next week.
Yeah.
That's a good game. That's
a good sign for the Seahawks.
Exactly. That shows physicality.
Yes.
It shows that you put him through the ringer. And holding a guy like Kyler Murray to 21 points with that offense, that's a big feat.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a real big confidence booster for the Seahawks defense that we didn't think that they even had in them.
Right. I'm still not high on them.
No,
but if they can play like that, they have a chance, right? Because you look at Russell Wilson, 23 for 28, 197 and 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a correlation there between that defense playing better and him having a better day in terms of those uncharacteristic turnovers, especially in the end zone or close to the red zone?
If you ask me every week, yes.
I would agree, because you look, when the defense wasn't playing well, there was an uptick in Russell Wilson's turnover percentage. He had 10 turnovers in the last 3 games. This game he has 0. I think there's a correlation there, and that's a good trend to have.
Yep. Seahawks also started getting their running backs back.
Yes.
Carlos Hyde played in this game and played well.
5.6 yards a carry, that'll do a job.
And that's it. Their starting defense played well, running game was there, passing game was there. It's not difficult to see what
string it together.
Right, it's not difficult to see what the formula needs to be for Seattle to win football games. If they can do all those things, they will be successful.
The question is, can they? Because we haven't seen anything from that Seattle Seahawks defense that makes us think that they can do this consistently over the rest of the season.
Right, and I think knowing that they can against an offense like the Cardinals, who are probably a top 10 offense,
that gives them hope.
That gives you a lot of hope.
Yep.
Especially because Kyler Murray's on that MVP watch. People are looking at him right now, and the Seahawks defense was the one to hold him. Yeah, that's big.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go Bengals football team. So Andrew picked the Bengals. I picked Washington. So that was one up for me. Washington football team 20, Bengals 9. And I think all we really need to talk about here is T's and P's to Joe Burrow. That injury was disgusting.
That was gross.
That was disgusting. I've never seen somebody get held up, watch that knee dislocate, relocate, still held up in the air, and then turned over like that. I've never ever seen that before. That was gruesome.
I was looking at the prognosis for what usually happens for a guy like that. The recovery time is somewhere between 9 and 12 months. So
you look at Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz had a similar injury in terms of how it happened and what the final prognosis was. And he missed the rest of the season. He got hurt December 10th, and he missed the first 2 games of the following season.
Right, and that's probably what you're going to look at with Joe.
I would agree, because he has ACL, MCL, and then some structural damage that's unspecified right now.
Right. They have to get in there.
I'll tell you what, that dude is stone cold though. Not a single tear, not a single screen, nothing.
He's a player.
Stone cold. And I'll tell you what, it speaks highly of Joe Burrow to get injured like that as a rookie. And for both teams, especially the opposing team, to come over and dap him up like that, that speaks highly. That dude's a rock star. You know, he's going to be a face in the league for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. He is a gamer. He plays and he played hard. He wants it. Someone asked him the other day, other than wins and losses, what's something that you can take away from this season? And he goes, wins and losses. He doesn't care about stats. He doesn't care about that he's in the top 10 passing yards in the league as a rookie. He doesn't care.
Trying to win.
He wants to win football games, and he wants to help his team win.
Which is important. You need to have that, right? And I'll say this, quick statistic.
Sure.
Cincinnati is 0-18-1 in the last 19 road games. That's not a winning formula there.
Yeah, no. And with the injury to Joe Burrow, I can't see myself picking Cincinnati going forward.
Yeah, I can't
pretty much
either.
at all, unless they versus the Jets, which I don't know if they do.
Yeah.
But the reason I picked Cincinnati in this game is because I was so down on Washington's offense.
Sure.
And Joe Burrow and that offense are so electric. But what I didn't take into account is the injury, yes, but even before that, it didn't look like they were going to win this game. The football team's defense showed up, and they showed up big. They stopped the run.
Chase Young is a gamer.
They stopped the run. They stopped the pass. They couldn't do anything. They got 3 field goals, I'm pretty sure. They couldn't make anything work, and that gave just enough field position for the offense to put up 20 points.
I mean, Chase Young, even though he only had 2 tackles, he had to pass the fence. He also had that forced fumble on Joe Burrow right at the end zone there, which was big. That saved 7 points.
Yep.
So he did a lot of stuff that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. And I'll say this, Alex Smith is slowly starting to show me that he can actually play a little bit still.
People forget he took the Niners.
He's a gamer.
Before they had
and the Chiefs.
Before they had Colin Kaepernick
and the Chiefs.
Before they had Pat Mahomes, took both of those teams to the playoffs, and he took the Niners to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
And he only lost in like a last-second play.
Goal line play. Yep.
To New Orleans. He was this close to getting to a Super Bowl on his own. He's a good football player.
He is.
But the reason I was so down because he really hadn't showed much yet.
Right.
And I think the Bengals defense is a good place to start.
Sure. And you got to think that injury too. You always have to ask that question. How do you come back from that?
Mentally.
He almost lost his leg.
Right.
He has foot drop. He can't even lift his foot up all the way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he's a starting NFL quarterback. That's pretty impressive, if you ask me.
Mentally, at least.
Definitely. You want to talk about a confidence booster to be able to win a football game like that. Even though there was a lot of other predisposing factors. Win is a win, right?
And their team is in the playoff.
Yeah, and they're clicking.
Right up there in the NFC East.
Yep. They're tied for second. 2 other teams, including
only
themselves.
half game back.
Yeah.
All right, let's move over to Falcons Saints. This one, we both picked the Saints.
Yep.
Even
kind of a no-brainer.
Right. It doesn't matter if Drew Brees is out. Both of us have really not been that high on Drew Brees anyway.
Yeah.
They did decide to place him on IR after we recorded, I believe.
Yep.
Taysom Hill was a starter. We thought it was going to be Jameis Winston. Taysom Hill still showed up and made enough plays against a porous Falcons defense.
I'll tell you what, Taysom Hill impressed me. That first half didn't do too much for me, but that second half, he started to get his legs underneath him. He started to use his legs, right?
Yeah.
Actually was dropping back in the pocket, looked like a quarterback, a lot of play action, They were doing the right things to get him involved in the right ways. It's nice to see Michael Thomas back, having a really nice impact there. Everybody's really high on the Saints defense. Relax.
The Falcons are very inconsistent.
The Falcons are extremely depleted. That offensive line has three starters injured. They weren't good anyway.
Yeah.
And Julio was out.
No
Calvin
running
Ridley
back.
was hurt. No running backs. So relax.
Yeah.
They played a great game, but they should have.
Yes.
So relax. Take
Yes.
a deep breath. Yes, they played lights out, but let's look at the opponent. I know it's the NFL. Every team is good, but let's take a deep breath here. Let's relax a little bit.
I am more confident in the Saints now than I was last week. Though.
Agreed. Yep.
Taysom Hill, don't know if we've seen enough yet, but
Not yet.
he is shaping up to be a guy who can almost be what people wanted Tim Tebow to be.
Sure.
Where he's a big body quarterback
He's
who's going to
accurate.
make plays. He can throw.
Yep. He can run,
And he can run.
and he makes good decisions as well.
Right,
He doesn't
and
get
he
the
doesn't
ball in
have
harm's way.
And he doesn't have a Bobo throwing motion.
Yeah.
Like Tim Tebow had.
And I'll say this too, which is interesting. You know, he adds an extra dynamic to that Saints offense that Drew Brees can't. The threat with the legs. That opens up a lot.
Yep.
And I think you saw that in how open those receivers were for New Orleans. You know, he was making completions. The dudes are wide open.
Yep.
There was nobody even in sight. You know, and I think that's partially due to the threat of the legs. I mean, you have to respect that.
Yeah. As long as he continues to rely on Jared Cook and Michael Thomas
Yep.
and Emmanuel Sanders and Alvin Kamara and doesn't try to do too much,
You're good.
he's going to be good.
Yeah.
He's going to win games until Drew Brees comes back.
Yep.
If he comes back. Falcons are the Falcons.
Exactly. Yeah, there's not much to say there.
I'll talk over to Steelers Jaguars. This one looked competitive early and then immediately went beyond. We both
Yep.
picked the Steelers for obvious reasons, and the Steelers won
Bit of a
for the
no-brainer.
obvious reasons.
Right.
That defense is just lights out.
That defense is nasty.
That 6th-round rookie quarterback couldn't keep up.
You know what I
The
love
running game
about-
couldn't get going.
You know what I love about that Steelers defense? They come in here and say, "Yeah, we're gonna bully the shit out of you. We're gonna turn you into a little boy. Do something about it.
Yeah,
We're gonna come in here and we're gonna assert ourselves. Stop us." And most teams can't.
right. They don't
most
play.
teams can't.
They don't play sit-back defense. They
Nope,
play
they
very
are
aggressive
aggressive.
defense, and that's I think they kind of remind me of a little bit of like the Cardinals defense in the tiniest bit, because you got a guy like Buda Baker on the Cardinals,
Sure.
Bud
And Chandler
Dupree,
Young, or Chandler, Chandler.
Chandler Jones.
Chandler Jones. There you go.
And then
55.
you got a guy like Bud Dupree on the Steelers
Yep.
defense. He is that same kind of safety linebacker all across the field, all the way, making plays the whole time. That's what that defense is. And that embodies what that defense is. And that's why a team like the Jaguars just had no shot.
Yep. They could hold on, but they really had no chance. I'll say this. I think the one thing that I really liked, I like that Deontay Johnson had a really nice game, because he's kind of the third option, I would say, on that offense in terms of receivers. And he went off, and I like that a lot, because when you have a pool of wide receivers you can pick from, it makes it hard to cover them all. So everybody's gonna have their day. You have to pick your poison, because there's another one that's gonna come and kill you either way.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the Steelers have been so effective, so far. That offense doesn't blow me away.
No.
It doesn't do anything fancy. I think that defense complements that offense very well, in the sense of that Steelers offense is patient, methodical. They work their way down the field. They don't take a lot of huge shots. They will occasionally from the 30-yard line in. You saw it with Claypool on Sunday. Took that big shot on the right sideline for that touchdown. They will take some shots there, but they don't put the ball in danger.
Nope.
They don't take any big risks. And
No,
when you have a defense like that keeps providing you the football, you have that luxury,
Yeah.
right?
I love their receiving core because they have 3 different guys. Deontay Johnson is your go up and get it, son.
Yep.
Like, go get it. We're going to send you to the sideline, toe drag it, catch it, get down, get the yards.
Think of it, they have big body wide receivers everywhere. Juju.
Juju is your rack guy. Get him the ball early and he'll take it
Yep.
upfield, make some plays, make it happen. He's your reliable.
What does RAC stand for?
Run after the catch.
Okay. For the people at home, just in case.
Thank you. And then Chase Claypool's your red zone guy.
Yep.
Go up and get it in the red zone.
And you have
Score
Ebron.
that touchdown.
And don't forget
then you
about
have Eric
Ebron as
Ebron,
well.
right? He's your tight end. He's your big
Yep.
body guy. He's
Yep.
your tight end, middle
That's
of the
it.
field. Throw it to him. They have James Conner at running back. It's a very
Yes.
well-rounded
Yes.
offense. It's not very
A lot of
impressive.
talent and a lot of good plays.
And they have a guy who can get the ball to the right place.
Yep.
in that offense.
And I'll tell you what, Steelers 10-0. And I'll tell you what, I thought this was one of the best games they played all around. The
Sure.
defense has played great from day one till now.
Easy to do.
The offense has been a little up and down, but I think the past 2-3 weeks they've started to really sort of build some momentum and figured out a recipe that works for them.
This was a momentum game.
It was.
Because it's a good one to do, the Jaguars. It's a good way to try and build that momentum.
Exactly
hey, let's execute a game plan, and then we can keep this in our minds when we go to the team, which they have coming up, which would be a really great show against the Ravens on Thanksgiving.
Yep.
All right, let's hop over to Eagles, Browns. I believe we both picked the Browns.
Yep.
Again, for obvious reasons. Any team in the NFC East that's not playing against a team in the NFC East is probably going to lose. And the Browns were good enough.
Yep. I'll tell you what, first home win for the Browns against Philly since Week 7 of 1988. Mm-hmm. That's 11,725 days since our last win against the Eagles at home. That's nuts.
That's such a stat.
That's nuts.
That's from stat guys out there.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield didn't wow anybody. No touchdowns, no picks though. Running game was awesome. Nick Chubb is good.
Dude, he is ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's a dark horse for running back of the year in my opinion. That dude is nasty.
He is a great back, and Kareem Hunt.
Such a complimentary running back.
Such a complimentary running back because Nick Chubb is your I'm gonna make you miss guy, and Kareem Hunt is I'm gonna run right into you kind of guy.
He just runs angry.
You got a freight train, you got a Ferrari. I mean, it's just both of them are.
You see it, that lightning thunder combo. It works since the beginning of time. It's always worked.
The first time I remember seeing it, I'm gonna go back in time a little bit, was D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart. You remember that in Carolina? D'Angelo Williams was that quick get between the it was the first time I think anyone's really done a 2 running back system. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, oh, it doesn't work, blah, 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 blah. They made it work. It was excellent. Yeah, Jonathan Stewart was a hit you in the mouth kind of guy. It was so fun to watch, and I get the same feeling from these guys, except Nick Chubb's a little more well-rounded than D'Angelo Williams was, and Kareem Hunt's a little more well-rounded than Jonathan Stewart was. It's such a fun dynamic to watch. It hurts my fantasy team sometimes because I got Nick Chubb, so he doesn't get those touchdowns like I want him to. But it's like watching. You know how we say Justin Herbert's so much fun to watch, quarterback. This is the running back version of that. It's just every time they hand the ball off, you wonder why they would ever pass it.
I'll tell you what. My question for you, and I think we can close on this. What do you do with Carson Wentz? Because like we had talked about 2 weeks prior, I don't think that excuse of he has no weapons, I just don't think that that's it anymore. I really don't. He's getting worse every week. His reads are getting worse. That pick 6 that he had, he literally told that cornerback with his eyes, hey, I'm going to throw you the ball. Go ahead and take that to the house. He went through a 1 progression read and just threw up a meatball. It was just, I just don't understand. I don't know what's going on with him. Something is off.
I think
something is off.
And that's why I say, if you look at the past few years, right? Last year, did they make the playoffs last year? I think they lost in the first round. Did they make it, or they were close?
They made it last year.
They didn't make it last year, but they were better than they were this year, right? Carson Wentz was not the issue with that team last year, and it was clear.
Oh no, they did make it last year.
They did.
They lost in the first round.
Right. Okay. And Carson Wentz was not the issue.
Nope.
He was doing well pretty much all season. Did his thing. I think every starting quarterback, at some point, if you're not a legend, right, like a Drew Brees or a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning, needs a mulligan year. This is Carson Wentz's mulligan year, where I think ownership and head coaching staff and all that kind of stuff, they're saying, they're not even looking at this year. They're like, Carson, just do your best. Like, you're still in the playoff hunt. We're still first in the division. Let's try and just squeak out until the playoffs, and we'll try and get you ready. And then, but after that, forget about the season and the off season, and just start over. Because it's one of those things where he's never played this bad before. It's never been this rough. And I think you're right, there is something wrong. And I think that's the exact reason I would say, we're not going to quit on you yet. Obviously, we just paid you all this money.
I'm not saying that. Definitely not. I just think, the thing that makes me concerned is, since that MVP year when he got hurt and Tom Brady won it, he's regressed every year since then. He hasn't been
a little bit, yeah.
He has. I mean, you look at the stats. He's regressed every year. His QBR has gone down. His completion percentage has gone down. His deep ball completion percentage has gone down. His interception percentage went up. His turnover. He's the most turnover-happy quarterback in the league.
I think you keep this year in.
He's third or fourth highest paid quarterback. You can't. And at what point, we're paying you this money. We need you to produce.
I think if he picks up where he left off last year, if he picks up where he leaves off this year, next year, and he does the same exact thing,
he's in trouble.
That's when you reassess. I think this season's not going to have. I think he could very well come back next year and be totally fine. He'll be working. They'll be doing great. They'll give him some weapons. It'll be great. Maybe a defense would be nice. Wow, what a concept.
Yeah.
And then I think they'll say, all right, well, now it's clear Carson Wentz wasn't the issue last year. He is the issue. It does feel like he's the issue this year. And I think they'll give him a pass if he does better next year.
Well, he better do better next year.
That's
the thing, that's a dangerous mindset to have. When you play for next year, I don't know, man. There might not be next year, for those people. You're playing for next year. Who knows if that team is going to be the same next year?
No, of course. I mean more as in the sense of his job.
Sure.
Like, he's not going to lose his job next year. He's going to be the starting quarterback for the Eagles next year, willing his injuries, if he has any or doesn't have any or anything like that. But if he does well next year, forget 2020. If he does bad next year, okay, hold on. We got to take a look at some stuff.
We'll see.
Jalen Hurts might have to start, picking up
reps. Yeah. I don't know why they drafted him. If you haven't put him in yet, I don't know why you drafted him. Yeah, really, I don't know why. But we'll see.
Yeah.
It's a big question mark around that team. But let's go Detroit, Carolina.
I believe we both picked Carolina.
Yes, we did.
One.
Yep. And first shutout for the Carolina Panthers since Week 14 of 2015. I like that.
The Carolina Panthers are a good football team.
Yeah.
Good. And I think they will push and they will fight for a spot in that playoffs, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're just a little too far out, a little too far gone. Granted, any team could drop off at any point. But
hey, it's 4-7. That's a competitive record in this NFL this year, which is weird to say.
Yeah, if you get if you can win out and get 9-7, you might see yourself somewhere near there. But the NFC is so competitive this year. You got the Rams are a wild card team right now. They're electric.
And they're good.
The Bucs are a wild card team right now, and they're excellent. The Cardinals are a wild card team.
We'll get to them later. I have some very interesting feelings about them.
So it's hard to give a prognosis to the Panthers season. Obviously, they're just going to keep fighting. But I think the big story with the Panthers right now is P.J. Walker. XFL standout, most likely
cut 12 times in the NFL.
Most likely would have won the MVP award if that season had finished in the XFL.
Definitely. Threw 15 touchdowns in 5 games.
Yeah.
Or 17 touchdowns in 5 games, I think it was.
Right.
It was nuts.
And he comes out and gets a win in his first start.
They had confidence in him too.
I guess Teddy Bridgewater was hurt, didn't know it.
I didn't know that either. They didn't show it to him. No. 34 attempts, 24 for 34, 258 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. I guess you can expect that first NFL game ever.
Right.
It's you can expect a couple of turnovers, but I will say this, he made the right plays when he needed to, right? And yeah, I would agree. I think they leaned on
he had a rushing touchdown.
They leaned on the rushing attack as well. They had 34 attempts on the ground, and I'll say this. A balanced offense usually yields pretty good results.
It's so
35 passes for 34 run attempts.
It's so good for a young quarterback to have a balanced attack because you feel like the pressure's not all on you, and you might still make some mistakes, like he did, but they weren't killers, right? Obviously,
exactly
because
right.
They weren't in the position where even the Lions could put up a field goal. What do you say about Matt Patricia?
I think he's okay, but I think Matt Stafford's in trouble.
You think so?
I do. I think I think it's butts on the line. I really do. I don't see him being there next year. I don't.
Okay.
I don't, because you look at it, he's been a staple for that team for the past 9 years, and they've got nothing.
Yeah.
They've got nothing. At what point do you decide it's time to hit the detonate button? Let's start over.
And it's not even like he's a bad quarterback. He's not.
No.
But I think you're right in a sense. Like, you do need some sort of
change of pace. You need a new friend.
You need a change. You need a new scenery, even. And I think he could use a new scenery too. I mean, send him to Philadelphia.
Let's bring him to New England.
Put him in New England. Oh, he would look good in the Patriots.
He would.
I
don't know.
I agree with you in a sense. I think that he could stand to go somewhere else. I think Matt Patricia's in trouble though.
He
has done nothing positive in Detroit the past 2 years.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll keep this in mind too. Think about where Detroit was when he first got there, and think about where they are now. At least they're competitive.
Semi.
At least they're competitive.
Right.
Now, take that as you like. That's not really too much to
Right.
hang your hat on. This is the NFL. This isn't high school football.
Sure.
But if you look at their record, they should be 5-5. If they won that first game of the year,
Drop pass.
they should be 5-5, which really is not that bad.
No, it's not.
So yes, they didn't look good this game, but the Lions still have life in them. Don't be surprised if they get 6 wins, maybe 7 wins this year. They're gonna have a losing record,
Right.
but don't be surprised if they get 7 wins. I think they can pull a couple out of the hat.
Yeah, they're one of those teams that always can. I mean, these two teams both beat the Cardinals.
True, very
So
true.
they are able to pull out wins.
Yep.
It's just a matter of will they.
Yep. Let's
So we're gonna hop over to
Ravens Titans.
Ravens Titans, yeah.
Ravens 24, Titans 30.
I picked the Titans.
I think I picked the. Did I pick the Ravens?
I think you picked the Ravens.
Why did I do that? I picked the Ravens. That was dumb. But I picked the Ravens, and I'll tell you what, it looked like it should have looked in all actuality. I'll say this, and I'll keep this one very brief. Derrick Henry did what he was supposed to do, right? And I'll say this. One thing that really surprised me, this is all on the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens are not the bully that they make everybody think they are.
No.
The Ravens are actually pretty soft, in my opinion. For them to come out there and pretty much get bullied from start to finish like that, and even before the game, the Titans going on to their home logo and their home field and just messing around in their home logo, you're supposed to protect that. Have some pride. Why was John Harbaugh the only person that went out there?
Mm-hmm.
None of his team went out there. They're kind of soft to me.
Yeah.
That defense is not the bully that they make everybody think they are. They got ran over, and I'll say this too. That Ravens offense needs something new. That Ravens offense is figured out, it's played out, it's old, and it does not work.
Mm-hmm.
It does not work.
Coming into this game, both of these teams were sliding, right? Both of them
I would say
were-
Ravens more than Titans.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, the Titans pretty much lost 3 of their last 4.
And the reason why I say that is the Titans know what their identity is.
That's fair.
The Ravens have no idea who they
And
are.
I think that's what this game came down to, right? The Titans said, we're still just going to run the football down your throat. Good luck.
Right?
And the Ravens just look like chaos, really. They look like they don't have any real idea of what's happening.
It just
what
doesn't
they're
look like they
doing,
know what they're doing.
Want to do.
Yeah.
Right. Defense tried to keep up. Titans put up another end of the game push to really put the nail in the coffin, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not confident in either of these teams, really.
No, I would say I'm more high on the Titans than the Ravens again, because at least the Titans know who they
The
are.
Ravens are in jeopardy of missing the playoffs right now.
Yes, and that's I don't know if it's a hot take to me. That is, Ravens might not make the playoffs.
I mean, that's a fact. They might. They might not. It's the way they're currently. I'm pretty sure they're out of the playoff picture.
Yes, they are.
They're like 8 or 9 right now.
Yep. They were 7 last time we had checked.
Right,
so.
exactly. It's just like, what are you gonna do to change what's happening here?
Yes.
Because 6-4 for a team like this is not good enough.
Nope.
That's not good enough. You got to be better than that.
And I think something that is starting to be readily apparent now is I think they rested on their laurels.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were too confident in what happened last year and thought they were going to do the same thing. No, everybody catches up.
Yep.
And you have to continue to step forward and make that gap readily apparent. And they didn't do it.
Nope.
They did not do it. I think they thought they were going to come in this year and do exactly the same stuff. This is the NFL, babe. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Everybody's studying.
Yep.
Everybody's studying. Everybody's adjusting and getting better. And it looks as though the Ravens did not get better. Doesn't look like they got any better.
No, and that
Which
really,
is alarming.
It is alarming. What are they gonna do? I mean, you gotta get the running game going a little more. You need a receiver. I don't know who told them that they don't need a star receiver to make something happen, but you do. Every top flight team has a really good receiver working for them.
And I don't think Hollywood Brown is who everybody thought he was.
No, he's a speedster, but
He's dropping a lot of footballs.
Right, he's a track guy, really. And I mean, I think everyone took notice week 1 last year.
Right.
where he was toasting them for he toasted a team for 3-4 touchdowns.
It's Dolphins.
Right, on the first game of the season.
Yeah.
Oh, good luck. And then he really hasn't, he's tailed off pretty much since.
Yep.
And he's been okay, but like you said, he's dropping balls, he's not doing much. The top 5 teams in this league have really good wide receivers. You don't. You just don't.
And I just don't think that offense.
Your best receiver is your tight end.
Yeah.
And that's fine because the Chiefs' best receiver is their tight end, but they also have other receivers to complement that.
Sure.
And they have they have Pat Mahomes, so there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
And Lamar Jackson is clearly not that.
Yep. But yeah.
We'll see what happens.
I'm curious. I'm going to keep my eye on them.
It should be interesting to see what they do towards the tail end of the season.
Jets, Chargers. Both picked the Chargers, of course.
Justin Herbert went off.
He snapped.
Went
I'll
off.
say this. My big takeaway, and it's not what you think it's going to be, I don't feel very good about that Chargers defense.
No.
To give up 28 points to the New York Jets, and keep in mind, the last team to do that was the Patriots defense, and the Patriots defense is literally a high school roster out there. For the Chargers defense to give up 28 points to the Jets, where Joe Flacco literally handed the ball to a cornerback and just let him run in for a touchdown, that makes me a little bit nervous. That doesn't give me a huge vote of confidence, to be honest with you. But yes, like you had said, Justin Herbert went off. That new haircut did him justice. 37, he looks like a little schoolboy now. 37 for 49, 366 yards and 3 touchdowns. My goodness,
He's
that's
such a good football player. He's going to win Rookie of the Year now since Joe Burrow's out.
Yep.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
Rookie of the Year. That just made that a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Herbert is going to... Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, and Pat Mahomes is going to be Peyton, not Peyton, Tom,
and Breeze.
Ben Roethlisberger /
Okay.
Breeze. It's gonna be the 3 people who just go
in the AFC
crazy.
that are always there. Yeah.
I mean, maybe Lamar Jackson will be there at some point if
Sure.
if he can pick it up a little more. He might end up falling in the tier of like a Drew Brees, not a Drew Brees. I'm sorry, like a Joe, a Phillip Rivers,
Sure.
somewhere around there, because he's not. He won 1 MVP award. Good job. A lot of people win 1 MVP.
And I think that might have been on
Cam Newton won 1 MVP award.
Sure, and that might have been on shock value alone.
Right.
You know?
And not only shock value, but he really was the best player in the NFL last year, Lamar. But Justin Herbert's going to be in a whole other tier. He's just if you're doing this as a rookie, that's nuts.
Yeah.
That's absolutely nuts.
Yep.
I don't care what defense it is. It could be the Jets defense. It could be anybody. But he hasn't had a bad game.
And that's the thing, he's been doing it against every defense.
Right.
So.
Jets are the Jets. They officially they officially got eliminated from playoff contention. They're the first team this year to be officially eliminated from playoff
They're
contention.
0-10?
0-10. I don't see a win in sight.
I don't either. They're going 0-16, I think.
I think so. I think the biggest question for the Jets is Trevor Lawrence going to skate the draft knowing that the Jets are going to be number 1?
I would.
Is he going to stay in college?
I would. Or I'd just say, listen, you can draft him, but I'm not playing. Send me somewhere else.
They would get a lot for him.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Teams would be giving up
Absolutely.
everything for him.
Patriots,
So
go get him.
they could trade that if Trevor Lawrence makes that number, which he's not that kind of guy. If he goes into the draft, he'll play for him. If he doesn't want to play for him, he just won't go into the draft.
Sure.
He'll say, I'm going to stay in Clemson for another year, forget it. Last guy to do that to the Jets was Peyton Manning in 1999. Jets ended up taking Keyshawn Johnson. Not a bad pick, but
Nope.
Definitely not Peyton Manning. The next year, obviously, Peyton Manning went to the Colts. But then again, it's like, if the Jets don't get a good quarterback right now, which, I mean, they would probably end up taking Justin Fields at 1 if, for some reason, Trevor Lawrence didn't deserve the draft. The Jets need to start thinking about next year. I don't know when they're going to fire. Maybe they're not firing Adam Gase just for the. Like you said, that's not what they do.
That's not what they do. They fire. They never fire coaches in the season. They always fire them at the end.
Maybe they should.
Well, I don't think it matters at this point. Honestly, what is it? You have nothing. There's nothing to gain or lose. You might just ride that crappy train to the end and let it be.
It seems like Jim Harbaugh is not going to stay at Michigan. Could be looking for an NFL job. Might fall with the Jets. I think that would be a solid idea for the Jets to grab him. John Harbaugh would get a new quarterback.
Sure.
He would have time and patience because no one's expecting him to turn around this team in 0.2 seconds.
Yep.
I'd give him 2 years of no playoffs, and then the third one, you better start looking at playoffs.
Yeah.
That's all assuming if John Harbaugh decides to take the job, or if he even goes to the NFL. But I just think rumblings that are happening around could be something the Jets are looking forward to.
Okay,
There's a reason we're not talking about the Jets this season because it's not worth it.
Yeah, no,
So
it's
let's
not.
talk about the future.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Let's transition, all right?
Yeah,
let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's go over to Dallas, Minnesota. I was shocked. Dallas 31, Minnesota 28. We both got this one wrong.
It's bizarre.
I'll say this. I'll keep it real simple. The Dallas Cowboys actually showed some heart.
Yes.
They actually looked like they wanted to be on the football field for the first time this year.
I didn't know Andy Dalton was coming back.
I didn't either.
He was back, and I was like, wait, really? I thought he like broke his ankle.
It wouldn't have changed my pick. It wouldn't have. I still would have picked Minnesota.
No, yeah, definitely. But I think Andy Dalton was a big help.
Agreed. When you throw three touchdowns, on 22 for 32, 203 yards, that'll win.
I don't know how. Kirk Cousins had 3 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook ran for 115 yards and a touchdown.
Turnovers. Minnesota
Did he
turned the
throw any
ball over.
picks?
Fumbles.
Oh, really?
Fumbles, yep.
I must have missed that. Oh, yeah. 2 lost fumbles. Yep. That'll do it.
It was actually, and let's see.
If you lose the turnover battle, you're going to lose the game. And Andy Dalton threw 1 pick, so 2-1. That's a whole extra possession for Cowboys offense, and that defense clearly couldn't stop the Vikings. 100-yard rusher, 3 passing touchdowns. Like, you really just need to hold on to the football.
Yep.
Like,
turnovers was the key to this game. You see that Adam Thielen catch? That was
that was
gross.
absolutely filthy.
That was disgusting.
Vikings are in trouble. If they had won this game, they're right there in the playoff hunt with the Bears. Like, they're tied records. But now they're pretty deep in trouble.
Yeah, this makes me not feel very good about the Vikings. The Cowboys, they're dead in the water. You have to go in there and stomp them out. You have to extinguish that fire before it got going.
Yep.
And they let them hang around too long. And you do that in the NFL, you will lose games. And that was exactly what happened, in my opinion. Cowboys, get on the Cowboys. You actually showed some life. You showed some heart. You guys still stink and you're terrible. But you actually showed
You
some
might
heart.
win your division.
And I'll tell you what, you're 3-7, so you're tied for second place right now with every other team in the conference outside of the Eagles. So good job. And I think that's all we really need to say about that.
Yeah, that's it.
That ship is sunk though, so don't jump back on. There ain't no ship to jump on.
Packers, Colts. Colts took this one. We both picked Packers.
This was a barn burner.
What the heck happened?
This was a barn burner. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you exactly what happened. That Packers defense got roasted.
Yeah.
That Packers defense got roasted.
And in turn, Colts defense really showed up. Aaron Rodgers has shown consistently if he is down against a good team, he's going to lose. And he was down early in this game. He made some pushes. They went back and forth a few times. But it's becoming... and this was an OT game. It's becoming clearer that Aaron Rodgers, against good defenses, this season at least, is not showing up and doing much. You saw it against Tampa. You saw it against Indianapolis. And, they lost to Minnesota. I don't know how that happened because Minnesota's losing to teams like the Cowboys now. But the Packers against good teams are not a good football team.
And I'll say this, something that I'm sure everybody knows. The Packers have a really bad time at ball security.
Yes.
Ball security. Aaron Rodgers, 1 fumble lost. Marcus Valdes-Scantling, 1 fumble lost. Darius Shepard, 1 fumble lost. And they forced 1 fumble. And they had an interception. So they had 4 turnovers. That'll lose you every game a lot.
Yep.
When you give the opposing offense 4 opportunities to get the ball back.
I'm surprised it wasn't a bigger score.
Sure.
Differential. I think that just shows that the Colts offense is not really that good.
But Jamal Adams is so good. I just want to put that out there real quick.
Who?
Oh, it's not Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams, yes.
He's so good, bro.
He is
He's ridiculous.
so good.
7 receptions for 106.
Yeah.
Nuts.
this was a playoff game, and this was a test for the Packers, and they failed.
I'm not down on them though. I'm not down on them because I'll tell you what, ball security is something you could fix. There wasn't a fundamental problem with the Green Bay Packers that lost in the football game, in my opinion. The defense was a little shoddy. They let way too much go over the middle. They're very soft in the middle. But turnovers lose football. You cannot turn the ball over 4 times. That's a lot.
Yeah, I think where the Packers, and I think there is a fundamental issue, and the fundamental issue is they can't beat good teams. They don't. They can't and they don't. And influencing picks later on, I think that's a big deal. You can't lose to good teams every time.
Yeah, that is true.
You can't make that happen. Let's hop over to Chiefs Raiders.
Patty Mahomes, Magic Man. Hold one
27
out of the
seconds
hat.
left.
Are you kidding me?
He's so good.
Are you kidding me?
He's so good.
That was nuts. I'll tell you what, the Raiders are the real deal.
No, yeah, absolutely.
They are the real deal. I was sleeping on them a little bit. They are legit.
The Raiders are the Titans of last year.
I would agree. They're a buzzsaw.
Yep.
Listen, had it not been for it was any quarterback other than Patrick Mahomes, they win again.
Mm-hmm.
I feel confident in saying that. Only Patrick Mahomes could have done that. Only Patrick Mahomes. That was stupid.
I'll say this about the Chiefs. You gotta run the ball more.
Yep, agreed.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 14 carries. Give him the ball more.
Average 5 yards a carry.
Right, you should be giving him the ball 20 times a game.
Yes.
6 more carries.
Can make a huge difference.
That keeps drives going. Like any drives that you start. I mean, granted, 35 points in a game.
I mean, here's my mindset, right? If you're averaging 4.9 a game, let's just do stats, right? You run the ball 3 times as the first down.
Yeah.
Every time.
Mm-hmm.
Three runs as the first down. If they stop you once. You only need 2 to get a first down.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, I don't know why they don't. I mean, it worked, but it could have easily gone the other way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they need to be careful with that because the same thing happened last time they beat the versus the Raiders. They lost and they didn't run the ball well.
Very one-dimensional.
They almost lost and they didn't run the ball. They ran the ball well, but they didn't run enough.
Yes.
And the Raiders are showing that they're going to put up a fight when you do that. They split 50-50 with the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
The Raiders are a good football team. That's the second time I did that today. The Raiders are a good football team, and if they can keep up this, they're 6-4, but they don't play 6-4.
Nope.
If the Raiders versus the Ravens right now, I'm picking the Raiders.
Yep.
Because the Raiders are just they're a solid, sound football team.
Yep.
In a difficult division.
Definitely, I would agree. You said everything I would say, and I'll say there's one thing about the Chiefs that I really enjoy and that I like. You know, they had this tendency of allowing leads to get away from them and them having to make a fourth quarter burst,
mm-hmm.
right? In this game, they scored a touchdown, and then 14 in the fourth quarter. I like that. Scoring in every quarter is good.
Yep.
That usually will win you a football game itself.
Yep.
Right? I mean, look, you put up 7 points each quarter. You're looking at 28 points.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough points to win in the NFL.
Yes, it is.
So if you can score 1 touchdown a quarter, which is not that hard to do,
mm-hmm.
you're gonna win football games. So I like the consistency of the scoring. That's good.
Defense
I like that a lot. Their defense stinks. I'm just gonna say it's been like this for years now. They're so lucky they have Patty Mahomes and they have that offense. Because if that offense was anything less than what it is, they're not 9-1.
Yeah.
They're not 9-1.
Yep.
So
let's jump over to Rams Bucks. I'll let you take this one.
bro.
We both picked the Rams too.
Yeah, we both picked the Rams, but I'm still pissed. And I'll tell you why. I'm starting to have concerns about Tom Brady, for real. I really am. I don't think he's what he used to be. I really don't. And it hurts me to say it, but he's just not that good right now. He's really not, and it's unacceptable. Like, listen to these weapons. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Scotty Miller, Antonio Brown, Cameron Brate, Rob Gronkowski, Rojo, LaShawn McCoy, Leonard Fournette. And you have a good offensive line. I don't get what else you need. Like, that is one of the best offenses I've ever seen, paper-wise, in my lifetime. You have weapons everywhere. And you still lose football games on terrible decision-making. And there's no excuse other than Tom Brady just played like dog shit. Excuse my language, but that's how pissed I am because it's just bad. It's just bad football. He's making terrible decisions. That last interception to lose the game, what were you doing? You had single press high coverage with 2 safeties sitting back over the seam. He throws it high because there's a guy in front of your receiver. You're trying to fit it into a window this big. It's not going to happen. Overthrows it, interception, lose the game. Why? You don't need to do that. And it's like the defense had 2 or maybe 3. I can't remember correctly. I think it was 3 big turnovers. Your defense gave you 3 possessions extra. You got to win the football game, especially against a team like the Rams where they can put a lot of pressure. He didn't get hit that much. There's no excuse. This is strictly on Tom Brady. He played like absolute dog shit, and it's starting to get annoying because there's really no excuse. If you're that guy, this is a game you need to win. 2 minutes left in the game. You're on your 30-yard line. Down by a field goal. You have to tie it or win that. You can't do this, especially not against good teams. Because 7-4 is a lot different than 8-3. Now you pretty much made that gap with the Saints. You're not closing that gap now. So now they're not winning that division. It's done. You're not going to win that division. So I'm pissed. And not because I necessarily like the Bucs that much. Tom Brady. He's just playing like crap. Mm-hmm. He's just not playing good. And I was blinded to it because I'm a huge Tom Brady guy. But he's kind of been playing like this the whole year. He plays really well against crappy teams, and when teams are good, he plays like dog shit. Every team is good in the playoffs. You have all your weapons. Your offensive line is healthy. Have all your running backs. What else do you need? Your defense is providing you 3 extra possessions on turnovers. Right. They held the Rams to 27 points. Mm-hmm. That's damn good. Yeah. I don't know what else you need to be successful. That offense looks like crap. 3 and out. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is the 3 and out offense of the NFL. It's awful. It's awful, and I'm concerned. I really am concerned for real. But that's it. I'm done now.
I was like, I'm in my head. I'm like, oh my god, is he gonna keep going?
I'm good.
All right, I'll make mine quick. The Buccaneers this season can learn a lot from when Peyton Manning went to the Broncos. They tried the pass around all the time thing, and they did have one of the best offenses in NFL history mm-hmm. one year, which is excellent. But they learned very quickly. You're going to win these games with defense and a running game. They ran the ball with running backs 17 times, 2.4 yards a carry.
There's no reason
There's no excuse for it.
There's no reason for that.
You have 2 Pro Bowl running backs, I would say, if they got enough volume. To be able to have an effective running game. Your offensive line also isn't bad either.
And Leonard Fournette needs to catch a damn football.
Yep.
He had like 4 drops that game on like little swing passes. It's like a 7-yard pass, but catch the damn ball.
They need to stop quitting on their running backs so early.
Yep.
They need to get them more carries. Tom Brady is not the quarterback who can throw over 40 times a game anymore.
And Tom Brady
He's not.
He just needs to be better. 26 for 48. That's under 50% completion percentage. That's bad.
Yeah.
That's not good.
You need to stop putting your team in positions where you're going to throw the ball 48 times a game. Because Tom Brady's not that guy anymore.
Hey, look, he attempted 48 passes. He had 216 yards. That doesn't add up.
That's
2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
That's under 10 yards of completion.
And keep in mind, both of those touchdowns that team scored on his passes were both freak plays by his wide receivers. Mike Evans broke three tackles and dove in there, and then Chris Godwin dove over a guy and scored it.
Yep.
So it wasn't like he necessarily created those touchdowns. His wide receivers made those. Mm-hmm. So something, they're in trouble. Yep. I do not confident in them. Hence why we both picked the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams are a good football team.
They are
They're
very
shaping
good.
up. They won a close game against a good team.
They're a sleeper. They're very good. They are very good. And that defense is nasty.
Absolutely.
That defense is nasty. They get home.
Bye week this week was Bears, Niners, Giants, and Bills.
Yep.
That's the week, man.
All right, that was the week. Y'all got to hear a nasty little rant right there. Holy smokes. But alrighty, guys, that was week 11. These videos are going to take a little bit longer because they're getting a little more in depth with some things.
Sure.
But I really kind of like the flow. I felt like this was really nice today and really good. But check back in on Thursday where we're going to go over our week 12 picks and we'll talk about who won the week last week on our predictions. But until then, we will see you guys later.